should be played at high volume. This should be played at high volume. This should be played at high volume. Preferably in a residential area.
The following thoughts on Hoppe Hour do not represent Cox Media Group or its sponsoring. Anything you hear may and will be used against you. Thank you. Voted as best local podcast in Tampa Bay by the Creative Loafing. You're listening to Hoppe Hour.
What up? What's happening? This is Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe. And one of my friends, Ryan Krebs from high school, referred me to this guy, and he is an up-and-coming talent, not just in sports talk radio, but talk radio in general. On the phone line from Sports Talk Radio WIUX 99.1 in Bloomington, Indiana, and on IndianaTalks.com, Jordan Maly is on the phone line. What's up, dude?
Hey, Hoppy, how you doing? It's great to be on your show. Thanks for having me, and what a great intro. I mean, you didn't have to intro me like that, but thank you. I appreciate that. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I am glad that Ryan Krebs reached out because I often like to network with people, but I also want to keep my own brand, you know, where you like network, but you also don't give them a part of your show. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah, no, definitely. And Ryan Krebs is one of my best friends here. I met him through my my fraternity, Sigma Pi, and he was actually my roommate last year. And I was actually just over there with Ryan Krebs the other day. I decided to start a podcast through Spreaker called Straight Outta College, and he helped me co-host a couple different shows, and that's been popping off in the last week or so. We just started it, 5 episodes, and we've got 1,200 plays on it, I think, on it. So we're doing pretty well for ourselves over there. But Ryan Krebs is a great guy. Love him, and I'm glad that he was able to connect both me and you together. You're all the way down in Florida, in Tampa, Florida, and I'm in Bloomington, Indiana. So I'm glad to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Is Indiana University one of those places where they would embrace a talk show real fast?
You know what? Actually, WIUX is 99.1 FM Bloomington just won the award for best large college radio station. And so you have to have over 10,000 students at your school in order to qualify for the award. So WIUX just actually won that for 2015. So we're very proud of that. And so I feel like it's all about the marketing and on social media and word of mouth. And if people like what content you're bringing out of there, and obviously Indiana and the people around in Bloomington and Indianapolis love their basketball. So anytime that they can get a fill of Indiana University basketball, you know, obviously in the top 10 now, and they love it. So whether it's internet or FM, AM, it doesn't matter. They love it down here. So.
And how great has it been being on 99.1 WIUX? How would you describe your time there so far?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. I started my radio career off as a play-by-play broadcaster with IU Sportcom, and it was just a small little thing that they did it was like a community student organization, and I did my first game, a play-by-play game for IU hockey back when I was a sophomore, so this is going back like 2 years now at least, and I was absolutely horrid at it. IU hockey isn't affiliated with the NCAA. They're just a club team right now because they're so bad, but that was my first chance to jump on air, but I actually moved over and was able to grab a spot on 99.1 FM with my two co-hosts, Tyler Darwick and Amir Rossi, and on the three-man weave. And we were on Sundays, and it's been great. And I've developed so much as a broadcaster and as a radio person. And it's been so much fun, and it's led me into so many different other opportunities. And I can't thank them enough. It's going to definitely be the day one spot that I'll always remember no matter where I go. No matter where I work, I'll always remember WIUX and being able to be in studio and hanging out and to just talking sports and just, you know, having a good time on radio. And that's what I think a lot of people don't do is they're too formal when it comes to radio. It's just like, have fun with it. Embrace it. You're on air. People are listening to you. So why not embrace it?
I think the reason why a lot of people are formal on air is because when you're on ESPN or Fox Sports 1 or NBC Sports or even just basic cable news, you have to be formal because you're supposed to report the news without bias. And a lot of these kids our age get influenced by that, but they don't realize that we're not seen. So we can slouch in our chair and do whatever we want. And number two, you're supposed to give your opinion on air. And I just feel like a lot of kids our age are afraid to, you know?
So many people are our age. It's all about being PC. And I especially in the sports world, I think it's all about it's all about having to be always correct. And, if you don't go with the majority's opinion, then everybody hates you. And a perfect example is a guy that broadcasts in Indianapolis, has a radio show, Dan Dockich. Everybody all across the country, I feel like, hates that guy. He broadcasts games on ESPN, and they think that he is a lover of IU. He did play under Bobby Knight when he was here, and, he's famous for being the guy that locked down Michael Jordan and played against Michael Jordan when he was at North Carolina. But a lot of people hate him just because he expresses his opinion. And the one thing that he does that's so different than any other radio broadcaster does, and I think everybody should take this idea, is if you have enough following on social media and Twitter where you're getting feedback, he literally goes in the search engine, in the search box on Twitter, and searches Dan Dockich, and then he responds to these people. These people aren't even tagging him on Twitter or anything. He literally just goes out and finds people that are talking crap about him and absolutely roast them on his radio show, and he does a great job of it. It's so hilarious. And I think it's funny that the people that give their voices on Twitter with the 16 followers that they have, think that they can just have a word and that nobody will ever see it, but he actually ends up doing it. So I love that he trashes the people that trash him.
And that's funny because I experienced that when I worked for a show in Cleveland. The vibe was negative. So all these dudes would talk smack behind the mic. I'm glad you got fired. You suck, this and that. But it's funny how whenever I got spotted at a bar and somebody would want a picture or somebody would want to talk to me, I would say 9 out of 10 times, maybe 2 people said they hated me, but they were very drunk. Nobody ever said anything that they said online. It's like, it's just this new platform where these people can be anonymous pussies, and it makes me sick, dude.
It's so, yeah, you're right. It's hilarious. And I think that hiding behind a computer screen to talk shit about anybody that's in media, and just because I have an opinion on something doesn't necessarily make it right or wrong. I might think it's right, and you can disagree with me. You can talk crap about me all I want. And the fact of the matter is I don't really care. I really don't care what you think. If you don't like me, then don't listen to me. But obviously, if you have enough time and are going to sit down and tweet at somebody and tweet something terrible at them, then I'm going to have enough time to come back and respond to you. And then these people say, oh, this guy's a hater. This guy pisses people off. He doesn't know what he's talking about, all these different things. But I've got nothing but love too on Twitter. I got to say, from the other side of the standpoint, the positive standpoint is, I swear I get direct messages all the time from people that are following me on social media and that listen to my radio shows, and they say nothing but good words, and it really has led me into being able to bring on a lot of different guests and a lot of guys that are in media officially. And I mean, Ken Sterling is one of the biggest, most popular radio broadcasters in Indianapolis, and I had a chance to talk to him and be on air with him in December, and he was a great guy, and just being able to connect with all these different people. So there is actually a lot of positivity. It might seem like there's a lot of negativity on the outside, but there is a lot of positivity behind radio.
It's awesome when you have these guys that have made a household name of themselves doing shows, when you have them on your show, because I couldn't even believe it was real. I didn't grow up in a region where Bob and Tom were on the radio, but I had Bob on my show about 2 months ago before he even announced that he was going to retire. And you just think about him being on in 150 cities and being the king of Indianapolis radio. I mean, dude, it's surreal when we get to talk to people that have made it, you know?
Seriously, and it leads from one thing to another. And I used to be a part of the Balance Radio Network, this small radio that used to do a lot of NASCAR and IndyCar racing. And I was fortunate enough to do a live show at the Performance Racing Industry Expo in Indianapolis, and I got to meet a ton of cool people. Ralph Shaheen, who's an ESPN, CBS, Fox Sports, you name it, he's been a part of it, and he's a broadcaster for a lot of NASCAR. So I got to meet a lot of cool different people, not necessarily things that I like to talk about. NASCAR wasn't my forte and is not my forte by any means, but it was cool to sit down and talk to these people who are a part of the media, or, athletes, celebrities, comedians, musicians, whoever it is. It's just nice to sit down and talk like a normal person to them, and to get a laughter out of them or to get something insightful, I think is why I drove to be part of the radio committee and the radio community from here on out.
And what else I noticed too is the fact that I just get so sick and so tired of egos, man. But I'm wondering if I'm growing one because I get annoyed by them. Because there's that weird medium, dude, where we get cocky because we get proud of our work, and then we judge people with big egos, but then we come back to realize that we have them. Like, aren't you trying to find yourself to figure out how to be confident and be a narcissist, but to not burn bridges and be that guy, you know?
Yeah, and I think that people that are opinionated, and it's automatically turned into a negativity thing. You know, when somebody's got a strong opinion about something, I think people are so quick to judge them in a negative fashion, and it's not like that. It's not like that at all. And I feel like when you're trying to promote your brand or you're trying to get people to listen, it seems at first you're struggling, and you have your what? I had at one point, I think I had like 14 or 16 listeners just listening into a radio show, and even those people, as small as it gets there, it can blow up in any fashion, in any form, and that's what's happened, and that's why I decided to open up this new podcast that I did, and straight out of college. It's on the same network that yours, that Hoppe Hour broadcasts on Spreaker.com. And we've been getting great feedback, and it's just fun to be able to sit back and finally I talk way too much basketball right now, and we're getting into baseball season, so I'm glad to be able to do that. And I have a big passion for music too, so we do listening parties for albums that just came out. I did a Kanye review, and that one's gotten a tremendous feedback from the Kanye one, and it's all about personal opinion, and whether you like it or not, people choose to listen to it, so it's been awesome. And I'm sure you're filled. Your Twitter mentions are probably filled daily with people either scorching you or loving you.
Yeah, it's a weird medium. It really depends on what I do my show on, and a lot of times it's just people talking to me. But I want to go back to Kanye West. What do you think of him, and what do you think of his new album?
Dude, I absolutely, people hate on Kanye West so much. And the one thing that I said on my podcast before was, this is all an act. He's an entertainer.
Yes, thank you.
He's an entertainer.
Thank you.
Is what he does. He is setting people up to do this. He is setting people up to make them pissed off at him. He says the most ridiculous things for one reason and one reason only: attention. And they're giving it to him. They're giving him exactly what he wants. And that's why I think he's one of the most unique and creative people out there in the entertainment industry. Yeah, he's a little nuts, but everybody in entertainment is a little bit nuts. There are some things that I don't agree that he says with, but to bash his music the way people have been doing, and he's been doing a lot of weird things. And for some reason, I fall in this Reddit hole where I go and read about Kanye West and end up falling in this Reddit hole reading all about the music industry for hours on end, and just like the little things that I hear about people talking about Kanye, and like when he goes off on a Twitter rant, every single news
it's fake, it's scripted.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, do you really think he believes what he says? Do you really think he wants to be a president? Here's what I don't get. And here comes a rant, dude. I don't get the middle-aged people who can say he doesn't have talent. Were our grandparents approving of Kiss, of Led Zeppelin? Are we supposed to sit here and say that's amazing music? To me, the only music that's good is classical. And I bet our great-great-great-grandparents didn't approve of it. No generation is going to like the music. So I'm sick and tired of these middle-aged douchebags saying that Kanye West isn't talented. He has like 80 songs. Like, dude, it's just shut up. You know what I mean?
And you know what's funny? And I'm going to send you this link after we're done doing this podcast. If you go back to when he was when he won his Grammy Award for graduation back, I think this is back now in 2008. He goes up on stage. He looks absolutely ridiculous. And this is young Kanye, too. We're talking about young Kanye here. And they're playing as he's talking and as he's like trying to get his words out and just like whoever else he wants to shout out to and message that he's trying to deliver. The Grammys orchestra is trying to play him off for like literally 2 minutes straight. He finally tells them to shut the hell up and turn the music off and that they're being disrespectful. And it was completely right. Don't try to walk off a guy that just won a Grammy Award off the stage when he's trying to say something productive. But as far as Kanye West's whole album goes, I absolutely love it. I think it is in the fashion that he dropped it and all the different lies that he came out. Oh, it's coming out this. It's going to be named Waves. It's going to be named this. It's going to be named that. Now it's The Life of Pablo, him comparing himself to Pablo Picasso. A little ridiculous, but it's all for the entertainment. It's all for the entertainment. I think that's one thing that people don't really realize. He's not going to run for president in 2020, and if he does, I can tell you right now, there'd be a shit ton of supporters for it, which would be horrible for our nation. But can you imagine Kanye West running the United States of America?
Would I rather have Kanye West or Trump? I would have to say Kanye West. I despise Trump. Like, he's making me sick because, like, people don't really seem to look at it with this angle. But aren't kids supposed to look up to the president? If we have Trump in office, he's too busy talking about how big his dick is. Like, that's such an embarrassing thing for a third grade class to be taught. Like, do you feel me on that, man? I'm just over Trump. It's like, just enough, dude.
Yo, I just sent you a link to something that just came out today, and it was on Comedy Central. I believe it was. I'm trying to look up and see. It was with the Nightly Show. Mac Miller went absolutely off on Donald Trump, and it just came out today. It's going to be on Comedy Central. I think it aired last night. He absolutely roasts him in 3 minutes. Absolutely destroys him. It is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Donald Trump tried to sue Mac Miller back when his hit song Donald Trump went platinum. Tried to sue him, and he goes, "What are you going to sue me for? Because your name has been broadcasted to 20 million plus people." Like, and it's hilarious. You have to watch it. It's absurd and obscene, and Mac Miller has a hate for Donald Trump, like I feel like you do too.
I just never have liked the guy. I never got the appeal of his douchebaggery on The Apprentice. And here's the thing is, it just seems like people that like Trump, like people that are so diehard and go to his rallies, are the same people that are so into the WWE. Like, it doesn't take a very smart person to think that Trump is president. Because here's why. Here's why. He has no experience, number one. And number two, he's not relatable, bro. He doesn't care about us. And number three, it's just his vibe. He's changing. I had DJ Who Kid from SiriusXM on the show, the legendary hip-hop DJ. And he said that Donald Trump, the last 10 years, has changed. In 2006, he had him on his show, and he said he was so much more genuine and nice. It's getting to Trump's head. Can you imagine being a president? Trust me when I say he may not be like Hitler, but he's kind of getting there. I really see this creepy vibe going by, man. I don't like it.
Yeah, you know what? And I was watching one of their debates that they were doing, and I expressed this opinion to a couple different people. And I'm not the biggest political guy by any means, and you know, I turned it on just to see what Donald Trump had to say next. You know, that's kind of like what I feel like a lot of people are doing as far as this. And you know what it was? It was a debate between him and Rubio. And I don't even know whoever the hell else was standing up there with him. It was literally like 16-year-old girls bickering back and forth at each other about mindless, meaningless things that would not even contribute to the United States. It was just about who did this and what scandal you were involved in this and what bad things you did here, and not about what they were actually going to do for the United States or what they were going to do for the people. It was just about who had a dirtier record and who basically could shit on the other person more.
Or how about good old Ted Cruz? Oh, my God. And what's really bad about this election is I hate Hillary, but Ted Cruz is making me want Hillary to be president. Marco Rubio is making me want to have Hillary be president. And I never thought that would happen. Like, dude, Ted Cruz gives me the creeps, man. Like, I'm not a guy where you're going to hear me break down why I believe in something. I'm just liberal because I believe in women's rights and abortion and gay marriage. That's basically it. And Ted Cruz is all against it. I feel like Ted Cruz is the guy that just wants to get rid of everything that Obama did, if it was good or not. I just don't have a good vibe, man. Are you going to even vote?
You know what? Honestly,
If it's Trump going up against a liberal, I'm voting for the liberal. But if it's not Trump, I don't care. I'm done. They don't care about us, dude. I'm sick of it.
Yeah, and that's what's pushing, I feel like, a lot of people not to vote is because they don't want to see either one of these people in office. And like I said before, I'm not a politician expert. I don't study politics. I study sports. I study broadcasting. I study all these other different things. And to me, just coming from an outside standpoint, just watching them bicker back and forth, talk about something that you're going to do, and talk about something that you're going to do to help the people, help the economy, help whatever we're trying to do in the United States right now.
Yes, thank you.
Not this bickering back and forth about what they did back in fourth grade, who picked whose nose back in fourth grade. Or
it's like watching Jersey Shore. It's like watching Snooki and the situation go at it. It's a comic.
And you know what pisses me off even more is the people that run these debates. The journalist
Megyn Kelly, the journalist Megyn Kelly.
Oh my! It's so annoying when they're trying to talk and they have a point and they're trying to make a good point about something that they're talking about. They literally just interrupt. They're like, Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump. It's like, shut the hell up and let him talk. Seriously.
Say what you want about Trump. Give him a chance to explain it because they have their agendas.
Any of the candidates.
Oh, my God, it makes me sick. But here's the deal, dude. We're not going to spend the whole time talking about these dirtbags because they don't care about us. Your expertise is sports. So I want to get your take on this. I'm glad Peyton Manning's gone. Go away. I never want to see you again. I know that's never going to happen. I got sick of the whole Papa John thing. I didn't like post-Super Bowl, and that's the first thing we see. I'm mad that he has as many rings as Eli, and his quarterback rating was trash. I've had enough of Peyton, man, and I'm glad he's gone. You know.
You know what? I'm actually on the other side of this, and you know what? A lot of this stuff about Peyton Manning has surfaced in the last 3 months and 2 months, whatever, even since the Super Bowl ended. We started with Al Jazeera, and he was coming out with some bullshit story about how he took HGH and all these other things. I don't know if you saw this or not, but a bunch of other players in professional sports were named. Ryan Howard from the Phillies was named.
Well, I wouldn't count that one out, you know.
Yeah, I know. Baseball players are a little bit more skeptical than some of these other guys that they were naming. Julius Peppers, his name was on there. But Peyton Manning was the biggest one, and they said when he was back in 2011 when he had the neck injury and that he basically took the whole season off, that he was taking human growth hormones and that he was getting it sent under his wife's name from a clinic, and he did this whole undercover thing. All these people that came out and tried to be credited for this ended up retracting all their statements and saying that, yeah, that never happened. We basically lied about that. The whole Al Jazeera news thing, I think, got shut down in the United States, especially after this story had come out, because it was all just a bunch of fraud and a bunch of lies. But more importantly, did you see Cam Newton's farewell to Peyton Manning on Instagram?
I did not. Was it emotional or was it kind of like forced PR?
It was a shot at him for HGH. He said it was like a big long script, but every time the two letters H and G were there, he capitalized them, and in one sentence it literally read HGH.
Oh, kiss my ass, Cam Newton, you big baby. This is coming from a Cam Newton supporter in a way since Auburn. Kiss my ass, you big baby. You're mad that you got tackled and you got sacked, and for once you weren't able to win the big game. Oh, what a little bitch, dude. Oh, grow up. God.
Seriously. Yeah, and you know what? For me, I'm glad Peyton Manning's hanging it up, and I'm glad he's doing it in the best fashion that he's doing it in, winning a Super Bowl, even though he didn't do basically jack shit for that Broncos team. It was all about their defense that basically won them the Super Bowl. But it's good for him to hang it up now. Go out on top, and a lot of these athletes that are at the end of their careers that are trying to win championships, they don't do it in the right fashion. They don't go out on top like a lot of guys should, and I don't understand why they don't. Why wouldn't you want to leave the league when you know your career's about to end, say like Peyton Manning's? Why wouldn't you want to go out as a Super Bowl winner? Why come back for another year just to make the money? You don't need the money. You've got Papa John's for the rest of your life. You got Nationwide. You've got all these other different sponsors, Gatorade. Yeah, the list goes on and on. You don't need the money. Why come back and play? You weren't that great when you did play for the Broncos. You won the Super Bowl for them, but Brock Osweiler helped out too. So to me, props to Peyton Manning for going out on top. I'm hoping a lot of these stories that are coming out from him from Tennessee about the whole thing when he was back in college and supposedly teabagged a athletic trainer back in when he played at Tennessee.
Yeah, in like 97.
Yeah. So I hope that all just gets cleared up and they figure out something with that. And I know that there's been a lot of controversy going around about that. So I don't listen to that. As far as his play on the field, me and Ryan were talking about this. who would be the best quarterback of all time, Tom Brady or Peyton Manning? Right now, I think it's Peyton Manning. He's the best quarterback.
You know what's funny? We weren't alive for this, but I feel bad for Joe Montana. We all seem to forget about Joe Montana.
That's what we said. Joe Montana, I never saw him play. And to be completely honest, I've only seen a few replays of the things he's done, and I wasn't alive during that era, so I can't compare those old quarterbacks to the new. But the guys are so much more athletic now and so much more built to play this game, and they're so much more destructive when they do play. Back when you were, even going back 30 years from now, these guys weren't in the type of shape that the guys that are playing in the NFL are in right now, and type of experience that they've had. These kids are starting out at the age of 7, 8 years old to start playing football in order to have a career in professional sports, and that just didn't happen. It was pickup football, pickup tackle football when you were back in the 70s, 80s, and way back when these old timers are talking now about these different sports. So it's just a different dynamic, and sports is just changing in that way.
Here's my thing: Tom Brady's numbers are great, but he also plays against a lot of horrid teams. I feel like the NFL back in the day was a lot harder to pass on, because the numbers for Montana: 40,000 yards, 273 touchdowns, 139 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 92. Now, Brady has like 58,000. He has 428 touchdowns, but I just think he's the Joe Montana of this generation, but I just don't think he's as good as Joe Montana. I think if Joe Montana was in the league now, he would be like Peyton Manning, having record-breaking numbers. You know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah. And usually I'm a guy that is somebody who's all about counting the rings as far as your legacy that you leave in professional sports. But in this case, the numbers don't lie. And what Peyton Manning was able to do for the Broncos, this win wasn't really more about him. But back when he won the Super Bowl against the Bears in, I think it was 07 with the Indianapolis Colts against the Bears, he was the reason why that they won. They had such a great team, him, Marvin Harrison, all those different guys that played on the Colts. So I don't know. I think now that Tom Brady extended his contract and says that he's going to come out and play, if he starts to break some of these records that Peyton holds, it could easily flip-flop. So it's just going to depend on the health of Tom Brady. And Joe Montana, obviously great quarterback too. I can't speak on it though, because I never really physically saw him play, and it's so hard to compare guys from different eras because the game is just so different.
Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl had 1 touchdown and 1 interception, and he had 280 passing yards. I mean, he was good against the Bears, but it's not like he was always the game changer that won you games. To be honest, for Peyton Manning, he also was going up against Rex Grossman and a Bears team in a weak NFC. I'm just saying, I think Peyton Manning got lucky a lot, and he's the best regular season quarterback of all time. But I don't think he's even close to being in the best quarterback ranking of all time. To me, it's either Brady or Montana.
Well, do you know who has more wins in the playoffs between Brady and Manning against each other?
Who?
It's actually Brady. He's got 4 wins, or he had 2 wins against Manning when he was with the Colts, and then he had 2 wins against them when he was with the Broncos, when Peyton Manning was with the Broncos. All-time record, though, is to Brady at 11-6. So, I mean, head-to-head, it depends on the teams that they were playing, but we could go back and forth all day long about this, and it goes back to the whole thing with, I think if Tom Brady plays for another 4 years, like he says he wants to plan on doing, and he can do it in the fashion that he's continued to do with the teams around him, more power to him, and he would be undoubtedly, if he broke some of these records that Peyton Manning holds, the best quarterback to ever live, to ever step on a football field, especially with 4 rings.
Now, before I let you go, I want to get your take on the NBA playoffs. How do you see this going down? I predict the Spurs are going to win just because I think it might be Duncan's last year, and I think because the whole year has been about Curry, I think the Spurs will be pumped up.
Man, I just watched the Spurs team lose to a inconsistent Pacers team at home on Monday, and the Spurs had 9 losses altogether coming into this game, and they just looked tired and worn out, and the Pacers played really well against them, and The Pacers team makes no sense to me too. So honestly, I don't see anybody beating Golden State. Steph Curry, what he's doing right now with this team and the type of chemistry that this team has, it's unstoppable. It's unbearable. And all these teams are trying to mock the way the Warriors are playing. And it's changing the way the NBA is going to. The NBA used to be 10, 15 years back when AI played and he was the face of the NBA and young Kobe Bryant and all these other guys. It was straight about who could be flashy or who could do this, who could do that. With Golden State's first championship win, they played with team effort and they let every guy on that team be a part of something big. I mean, Steph Curry is making a career out of Draymond Green because Draymond Green is open 75% of the time. He's open because three guys are guarding Steph Curry, and Steph Curry can still knock down shots. I mean, last night he had a buzzer beater from half court to win it, and he ran right off the court. I don't know how you stop him. None of the coaches seem to know how to stop Steph Curry, and it might just be talent mixed with a little bit of luck. But I think ultimately it's going to be difficult. Even if you do shut down Steph Curry, they still have Klay Thompson who can shoot the ball, and he's lights out from three. They have Andre Iguodala off the bench. Andrew Bogut's been playing a great center for them, and then they have Draymond Green, who's been amazing for them as well. So I can't see anybody beating this Warriors.
I think you just changed my mind. I mean, that's why I don't cover sports. That's why I leave it to the up and coming talent like you, is because I don't know what I'm talking about.
One more thing before we go, I want to say one thing, and I don't know if you heard this or not, but Hall of Famer Goose Gossage came out today. I don't know if you saw this article or not, and basically tore apart all these up-and-coming guys that are stars in the MLB, including Jose Bautista, who's one of my followers on Twitter. Shout out to Jose Bautista. Joey Bats is a man. Bryce Harper, Yoenis Cespedes, all these different guys that act like that showboat. And it goes back to, with Cam Newton and doing the whole dab thing and the whole team doing that. He tore apart the whole entire structure of baseball. Now, he said that it was pathetic that Joey Bats threw his bat in the air during the playoff game where he hit that huge home run because Toronto didn't end up winning the World Series. He said it's showing up pitchers. It's all about self-image in baseball. And he said that Bryce Harper doesn't know squat about the game. He knows nothing. He's 22 years old. What the hell does he know about baseball? And coming from an old-timer, I feel like all these old-timers keep coming out of all around sports, trying to bash the new age because the new age is a lot better than it was back then.
Wow, Bryce Harper's just 23? Because he's been around for 5 years. I thought he's like 28. See, that's how much I know about sports. That's why I do a talk show where I talk to comedians and I rant about the news. What do I know, Jordan?
Hey, you know what? He got drafted out of high school at age 18, and same with Mike Trout. Those two guys are going to be the face of baseball for years to come. And Bryce Harper probably will be the first player to ever get paid $400 million in baseball. And plus, he thinks if he has a stellar year this year and he becomes MVP in the National League, then he should be paid $500 million.
Dude, you know how much money that is? Like, it frightens me. You know what I mean?
Seriously. And he doesn't need the money. He just came out. I literally just watched a Gatorade commercial, brand new Gatorade commercial that he came out with. He doesn't need the money either. So I think it's just Goose Gossage is right. It is all about self-image, but Bryce Harper does know a thing or two about baseball, considering the dude can hit 465-foot home runs with ease.
Now, before I let you go, where can people find your work online and on the radio?
Yeah, so if you want to listen to me live on the radio over on Indiana Talks, I'm the sports director, radio host, and journalist for Indiana Talks. Tuesdays live from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That's Pacers Fast Break. That's all about the Indiana Pacers and a look around the NBA, and usually I have great guests on for that. I had Nate Taylor from the Indy Star on a few weeks ago. Corey Clark from ESPN3 was on last week with me. And so that's a great show, and that gets replayed for our affiliates in Fort Wayne on 95.7 FM, WELT. I'm still getting used to saying that because they just became affiliate with us. But Thursday night's College Sports Minute, 9 to 9:30. That's a pre-recorded show, and that's going to turn into a baseball show soon here. And then WIUX is 99.1 FM, Bloomington. Three-Man Weave is on Saturdays, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern. If you don't live in the Bloomington, Monroe County area, you can stream it at wiux.org/stream. Follow me on social media over on Twitter at JMalyWIUX. That's JMALYWIUX. And give my new podcast a listen to as well, Straight Outta College. And it's on iTunes. You can download it on iTunes or over on Spreaker, where you're able to hear the Hoppe Hour.
Well, dude, keep up the good work. I usually don't do sports talk, but when I heard your show, I was very impressed, and I'm friends with Ryan Krebs as well, and I'm glad we got to network. I'm going to officially bring you on as the sports analyst for the show and maybe have you on every 2 weeks to break down everything going on in sports, just so that I can make my show more diverse, so it's not just me talking and then having comedians on. You know what I mean? So keep up the good work, dude.
I would definitely appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to getting you on one of my shows, too, as well. I want to talk, and this was a great conversation. I would more than happy to be on your show every 2 weeks to talk a little bit of sports and banter back and forth about a little bit of pop culture, too, as well.
Hell yeah, dude. Us 22-year-olds, us millennials have to have each other's back.
Thanks, Hoppy, for having me on your show. Love you, bro.
All right, thanks, dude. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, bye.
Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour.